Death Stranding 2 doesn't just deliver breathtaking landscapes and mind-bending storytelling, it also throws some seriously wild boss fights your way. If you thought delivering packages was the hard part, wait until you're knee-deep in tar, dodging the jaws of twisted BTs or going head-to-head with massive ghostly mechs. These encounters aren't just there for show. They test your reflexes, your strategies, and sometimes, your patience. In this video, we're diving into the most intense and unforgettable boss fights in Death Stranding 2. From secret encounters hidden in the world's eerie corners, to story-driven battles that crank the tension all the way up, these are the fights that make you drop your controller and say, "What the hell was that?" Let's get into it and see which ones gave Sam the biggest headache, and us the most fun. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching! Alright, so let's talk about one of the weirdest and most unsettling boss fights in Death Stranding 2, the Giant Head BT. If you've made it to Main Order 6, you already know what I'm talking about. This thing literally rises out of the tar like some kind of nightmare Picasso would paint. It is exactly what it sounds like. A giant head with fingers for a mouth. Yes, fingers. And yes, they move. It is bizarre, it is creepy, and it's a total mood killer for Sam. Now, in terms of difficulty, this is not the kind of boss that's going to have you stuck for hours. The Giant Head BT is more about the spectacle than the struggle. It does not move much, and most of its attacks are easy to predict and avoid. That said, do not let your guard down. The real danger here is when it opens that finger-lined mouth and tries to suck Sam in. If it manages to pull that off, you are looking at a void out, which, for those unfamiliar, is pretty much a full-on game over with some serious consequences for the world around you. The best strategy here is to keep your distance and stay alert. You want to chip away at its health without getting too close, because one wrong step and you are lunch. It is an intense introduction to boss fights in Death Stranding 2, setting the tone perfectly for the strange and haunting enemies that await later. If you are into creepy, body horror-inspired design, this one is going to stick in your mind long after the fight is over. Just when you think Death Stranding 2 can't get any weirder, along comes the Octopus Mech, a massive mechanical squid that rises from the tar like something out of a steampunk horror show. This boss makes its grand entrance in Main Order 12, and let's just say it does not care if you are prepared or not. It slithers through the tar with unsettling grace, and those long, writhing tentacles? Yeah, they are not just for show. This thing is here to grab Sam, choke him, slam him, and toss him like a rag doll. Unlike your first boss fight, this one is going to test your nerves and your gear. The Octopus Mech laughs in the face of blood grenades. Seriously, they do nothing. So you are going to need actual firepower. Bullets, explosives, and basically anything that can put a dent in armor will become your best friends here. And you will need a lot of them, because this thing has a tough outer shell that can soak up damage like a sponge. It is not just about surviving. It is about hitting hard and knowing when to retreat. If you are low on resources, this fight can feel overwhelming. The scale of the Octopus Mech is enough to make newer players panic, especially when they realize their go-to tools are useless. But stay calm, stay mobile, and keep firing at its weak points when it surfaces. It is a fight that rewards patience and aggression in equal measure. Plus, let's be honest, taking down a giant, ghostly robot squid in a pool of tar is one of the most Death Stranding things you can do. Just when you think you have seen the biggest, most terrifying creatures in Death Stranding 2, the game throws the giant BT spider at you in Main Order 47. And yeah, it is a full-blown kaiju moment. This towering, crab-like beached thing storms across the beach like a nightmare come to life, with razor-sharp legs that stretch into the sky like twisted steel beams. The sheer scale of it is jaw-dropping, and the moment it comes crashing into view, you know you are not getting out of this one with just a few grenades and a smile. This boss fight is all about movement and precision. Sam cannot afford to stay still for more than a second. You will need a fast-moving skeleton suit just to survive the stomp-happy legs coming down like wrecking balls. Your goal? Chip away at those massive limbs, one by one, using everything from high-powered rifles to rocket launchers. Luckily, if you are online, other players might come through for you, tossing in gear or supplies that can turn the tide of battle, which, by the way, is a mechanic that never stops being cool. The tension in this fight is real. One misstep and you are flattened like a pancake under a skyscraper. But there is something incredibly satisfying about finally taking this monster down, watching it collapse under its own weight as the battlefield quiets. The giant BT spider is a highlight of Death Stranding 2's boss design, not just because it is huge, but because it demands everything you have learned up to this point. It is chaotic, it is cinematic, and it is absolutely unforgettable. Let's talk about one of the most stylish and most shocking boss fights in Death Stranding 2, the Red Samurai. You finally reach the beach in the final mission, heart-pounding, ready for answers. And boom, there he is. That mysterious red-cloaked figure who has been helping you all along is suddenly standing against you, katana in hand, glowing with rage and corrupted energy. Turns out, Higgs has hijacked the Red Samurai, turning him into a lightning fast, teleporting Ghost Mech with one goal: to take you down. This fight is wild. The Red Samurai can predict your every move, vanishing from sight only to reappear mid-slash or launch across the map in a blur of steel. He is deadly at close range and almost impossible to pin down. The good news? You are holding the battle guitar. And during this boss fight, it has infinite ammo. Yes, you heard that right. As long as you keep your distance and keep firing, you can chip away at him bit by bit. But do not get cocky. This is not a spam your way to victory kind of fight. Where things get dicey is in melee range. The Red Samurai's katana is no joke. It hits hard and fast, and if you mistime a dodge, you are going to feel it. The key here is balance. Use the battle guitar to keep him on the defensive, but stay nimble, because if he closes the gap, he can turn the tide in a second. It is a flashy, fast-paced duel that feels like the perfect climax to Sam's journey. Not just a battle of strength, but one of reflexes, strategy, and long overdue revelations. Higgs returns for one last showdown in Death Stranding 2, and let me tell you, it is not your average boss fight. This time, it is personal. Sam finally faces off against the man responsible for so much pain, destruction, and twisted philosophy. And how do they settle it? With guitars. That's right, battle guitars. The final boss fight is part rock concert, part emotional breakdown, and somehow it works perfectly in the wild, surreal world Death Stranding has built. From the opening chord, it is clear this fight is going to be unforgettable. The setting is just as dramatic as the confrontation. You will be dodging through broken pieces of APAS's servers, sliding past collapsing tombs, and eventually battling Higgs atop a colossal beached thing. The scale is massive, and the tone is pure chaos. Higgs fights with reckless aggression, slamming down guitar-powered shockwaves and trying to overwhelm you with speed and firepower. But Sam's battle guitar is more than up to the task. Not only does it hit hard, but it comes with infinite ammo, giving you the freedom to go all in without worrying about running dry. Despite the cinematic flair and emotional weight, this fight is not punishing. Players can heal by chomping down on cryptobiotes mid-battle, and the generous health system allows for some mistakes without ruining the moment. What makes this finale great is not brutal difficulty, but the way it brings everything together. The story, the characters, the style, in one big, loud, emotional crescendo. It is less about how hard the fight is and more about what it means, and that makes it one of the most memorable moments in the game. The Giga BT is hands down one of the most jaw-dropping encounters in Death Stranding 2. Found during Suborder 114 from the Ghost Hunter, this colossal beached thing makes its entrance in truly dramatic fashion, towering above Sam and Dahlman like a skyscraper come to life. It is not just big for the sake of being big. The sheer scale of it is terrifying, and when it roars to life, it sends a chill straight down your spine. You can feel the pressure in the air, like even the environment is holding its breath. Now, the good news is that the Giga BT is slow, painfully slow at times. It lumbers around like a living mountain, which gives you plenty of time to position yourself and lay down fire. But do not let that fool you into thinking it is easy. One wrong step, one mistimed dodge, and this thing can flatten you with a single swing. It hits hard and covers a lot of ground when it does. The trick is to stay mobile and keep your eye on its weak spot, a glowing red bulb near its umbilical cord. Hitting that will briefly stun the Giga BT, giving you a golden window to unleash everything you have. This fight is all about controlled chaos. You will want rocket launchers, heavy weapons, and anything that can deal massive damage quickly. When the Giga BT stumbles, that is your moment to go wild. Watching it finally get pushed back to the beach after a long, exhausting exchange is incredibly satisfying, like toppling a titan. It is not just a battle of firepower, but of endurance and timing. And it is one of those fights that reminds you just how wild and unpredictable the world of Death Stranding 2 can be. Neilvanna might just be one of the most intense and memorable human bosses in Death Stranding 2. Introduced in Main Order 16, this mysterious figure with the bandana pulls Sam straight into the tar, kicking off a psychological cat-and-mouse showdown that feels like a twisted dream. At first glance, players might mistake him for a certain stealth action icon. The resemblance is uncanny. But Neilvanna quickly proves he is in a league of his own. He is fast, smart, and completely ruthless. And thanks to his Doom's abilities, he bends the battlefield to his will. You will face Neil 3 times throughout the story, each fight escalating in tension and difficulty. What makes him so dangerous is not just his aggression, but his tactics. He uses the environment against you, flanking from shadows, teleporting across cover, and letting his skeletal mercenaries do the dirty work while he lines up a surprise attack. If you manage to corner him, he will just vanish and reappear behind you. And if you are not quick, it will cost you. His pattern evolves each time, so no 2 fights feel the same, even though it's the same man behind the attacks. What really sets Neil's encounters apart is how cinematic they feel. Whether you are pinned in the ruins of a collapsed city or dodging fire in a half-flooded server room, the settings always raise the stakes. You will be forced to switch weapons, think on your feet, and adapt constantly. It is not just about shooting faster. It is about outthinking someone who always seems one step ahead. Neilvanna may not be a towering monster or a ghostly BT, but make no mistake, he is one of the deadliest forces you will face in the game. The Lord of Tar Lake is Death Stranding 2's ultimate test of patience, firepower, and survival instincts. And trust me, this thing earns its title. Found during Suborder 117 from the Fisherman, this optional boss is the Moby Dick of the Death Stranding universe. To even trigger the fight, you need to set bait by sacrificing another powerful beach thing, which already sets the tone. This is not a normal encounter. Once the Lord of Tar Lake appears, you will understand why. It is a colossal airborne whale BT, gliding above the tar like some apocalyptic sea god. From the moment the fight begins, the scale is overwhelming. The whale is constantly on the move, swimming through the air and diving into the lake with devastating force. It launches massive laser beam attacks that can wipe out half the arena in seconds, and its ability to inhale huge chunks of the tar lake can pull Sam in if you are not careful. Dodging is a must, but even more important is choosing the right moments to counterattack. This boss does not just ask for your best weapons, it demands your full arsenal. Think rocket launchers, grenade launchers, anti-BT rifles, and anything that goes boom. What makes the Lord of Tar Lake so memorable is not just its difficulty, but how cinematic the entire fight feels. The sky is dark, the tar is boiling, and you are scrambling for supplies as this massive creature roars above you. It feels like a final boss, even though it is completely optional. But for players who take it on and manage to bring it down, the satisfaction is immense. It is the kind of fight that reminds you just how wild and ambitious Death Stranding 2 can get, not just in scale, but in imagination. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.